get my screen share going here. Get everything organized. Get into presentation mode here. Move you all over here. It's just kind of getting everything organized. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon. I really appreciate you spending your time with me. Okay, just make sure I can see everything here. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about journey mapping and how to use them and some benefits, and I hope they're going to be a useful tool in your toolbox and something that you'll be able to apply after you leave the forum today. So let's dive right in. So as Tim mentioned, my name is Kelsey Lunsman. I'm an enterprise business architect at the University of Oregon. Previously, I was an IT business analyst in our project management office, so I've been in your shoes as a business analyst. I earned my CCBA in August of 2021 from the IIBA organization. I am a ProSci certified change practitioner, and I included my LinkedIn profile there if you all would love to connect. And then a fun fact about myself is that my husband and I have a small alpaca farm in Springfield, Oregon. So if anybody wants to talk about alpacas, I would love to chat with y'all about that. Funny story, actually. The little fawn guy here on the screen was actually born during the dry run of this presentation with the Bang Planning Committee. So I actually had to step away momentarily to go attend to that. I promise today that won't happen. We don't have any babies imminently due at the moment. So, but that was kind of a fun turn of events there. So let's dive right in. So journey mapping is really designed to put you in the shoes of your audience or a specific population, really to build empathy for their individual and unique needs. One of the biggest benefits to journey mapping is really to simply better understand the experiences that a user may be going through for a particular experience. The better that we can understand their experiences and expectations that they may have, the more that we can tailor either future experiences or even solutions when we're designing them to better meet their needs. So we're going to do a quick poll. I'm very curious to learn, what is your experience with journey mapping? And I believe that Tim is going to be opening that poll, and you'll be presented with 4 options. So option 1 is hi, you've used or created journey maps or you're familiar with them. Medium, you've seen journey maps before, but you don't know a lot about them. Fair, you've heard about journey maps, but that's about it. And then low, journey what? What are we talking about today? So I would love for y'all to take a moment and do that poll. See here, I believe if I submit my results, I can see in the chat, right? Cool. All right, so it looks like results are coming in. I'll give you all a moment or two. We have some folks who have created or used journey maps. That's awesome. Looks like most folks have seen them before but don't know a lot about them. And then the rest of y'all have heard about them. Cool. All right. Well, it's awesome that folks are familiar with journey maps. It's not an overly new concept. Thanks for taking the time to take that poll with me. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to cover the why and what of journey mapping. We'll talk about persona development and what role that plays in journey mapping. Then we'll talk about kind of the whole overview of journey mapping, and I'll show you some examples. And then we're going to go into a fun exercise together on journey mapping. So we're actually going to do a journey map together on the journey of ordering a pizza for delivery. So hopefully that will be fun. Maybe it will spur kind of like ordering pizza tonight for dinner. And then we'll wrap up with a Q&A. So the why and what of journey mapping. So journey maps are really a visual representation that describes an experience from the persona's perspective. It can really help show how a persona moves through a complex process that takes them from one place in their journey to another. it really helps us tell the story of a user's experience across various different touch points. And it can be a really useful tool in helping identify process improvements while keeping the people that we serve really at the center of that process and really building that empathy for the experiences that they're going through. I first learned about journey maps actually in my current role as a business architect. I really wish I would have known this or had this tool in my toolbox as a business analyst, because I feel like as a BA, our role is really to bridge communication and facilitation between groups. And by better understanding and empathizing with our users, right, we can better understand their needs and deliver and design solutions that really meet their needs. As I mentioned, journey maps can help create empathetic insights by stepping into our customer's shoes or into user shoes, and those ultimately can help lead to continuous improvements so we can understand their current experience and then think about what future experience do we want them to be having and what improvements do we need to implement to realize that future experience. In higher education, we use journey mapping to step into the shoes of our students a lot of the times, really to gain empathetic insights and really understand their journey holistically as they're navigating their college experience. And as we reflect on these journeys, we can address unintended barriers that may exist from either a people, process, or technology perspective. And then all of these opportunities are opportunities for continuous improvement, which can ultimately lead to improving the student's experience at the institution. And then one other thing about journey maps that I really love is that they're very accessible and really anybody can do it. You don't need a specialized skill set or to take, a 6-week course on journey mapping. It's really meant for anybody to be able to facilitate these sessions and understand somebody's experience as they're going through a journey. So you may be thinking, how is this applicable to me as a business analyst? And I wanted to provide kind of some concrete examples of how I think this could be applicable in the business analyst world. So I know it's not a traditional tool, but you're probably already doing some of it in these following ways. So journey mapping can be a really helpful tool to understand the current state of a process and also help to understand what is that future state that we want it to be. What do we want that to look like? And then analyzing kind of the differences between that current and that future state is your gap analysis right there. During a journey map, we typically identify what we call moments of truth, which are these like make it or break it moments in which a user has to take this specific action before they can move forward in their journey. And we typically also talk about pain points that somebody is experiencing along their journey. These are opportunities for potential requirements. So as you're thinking about the solution or whatever you're designing, you can kind of reflect back on your journey map and identify potential requirements out of that. And then personas are also a really helpful tool in understanding your stakeholders, and we'll dive into personas here in just a little bit. And then journey maps can also be a really helpful way for creating user stories for testing. So again, if you know somebody's experience and kind of what they're going through right through that journey, you can create test scripts or test steps or user stories to kind of emulate some of that journey and test that along the way. So this is a Venn diagram comparing journey maps and process maps, and I'm not going to read through this in detail. I believe that a PDF copy of these slides will be shared with you, so if you want to look at this in greater detail, please feel free. But I think that's going to be a really helpful way in looking at how are journey maps different than process maps. As business analysts, we're probably really all familiar with process maps, and I wanted to kind of set them together side by side here. I think journey maps are a really helpful way of zooming out, and process maps can be a really helpful way of zooming in. With journey maps, we can reflect on the ultimate problem that we're trying to solve, and then kind of figure out, specifically where in the journey do we need to fix that or dive in a little bit deeper. And then I think that's where the process maps can come in. So doing about thinking about the journey first, I think, can really help you then figure out where do you need to drill in, where do you need to really understand, where you need to understand the step-by-step process. So as I mentioned, journey maps are designed to put you in the shoes of your audience or specific population to build empathy for their individual and unique needs. I think journey maps can help us in various different ways. It can help us close the gap between designers and the user. So I've talked a little bit about how they can be used in designing solutions. It really helps us create equitable programs or services or solutions. So for example, we may have an understanding of how a traditional user uses something or their experience, but is that the same experience of a non-traditional user? So I'll give you an example. Here at the institution, right, we typically have traditional students coming in from high school. We have, I think, a pretty good understanding of their experience, but is their experience the same for a non-traditional student, such as a transfer student coming in from Lane Community College, or a student who is in their career and coming back to education for further professional development, right? Their experiences are going to be a little bit different. And so by understanding all of those journeys collectively and holistically, we can then design more equitable experiences for those users. The touch points or handoffs identified during journey maps can be a starting place for identifying potential improvements for users interacting with services. And then finally, changing complex issues. So in large organizations or enterprise, very much like the University of Oregon or the state of Oregon, we have a lot of different systems and business processes and groups that may or may not all be integrated. And these all contribute to our current state. And sometimes we create systems or processes that focus on these individual functions, and there's really nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, we're just trying to all get our work done. But when we take a step back and look at the bigger picture and experience, we can then maybe start to see that we haven't created such a seamless journey or experience for the customers that we may be serving. And so it can be a really great way to understand the complexity in some processes as well. And then also by understanding the connection points between different functions, particularly in complex processes such as like HR and finance, and where those touch points are, or where something may be handed off between groups, we can start to understand kind of the whole picture and truly the complexity. And the more that we can understand that, the more we can go into efforts of like solution design or implementation with our eyes open and really understanding the complexity of a process that we may be trying to change or implement. Here is an overview of the journey mapping process. So there are 5 steps, and we are going to go through each of these in a little bit of detail. So I'm going to talk here in just a moment about how to select an experience to improve. We'll talk about creating personas. We'll talk about mapping that persona's journey. We'll talk about how to analyze those improvements, and then finally implementing the improvements. So that first step in the journey mapping process is really identifying an experience to map. And so I outlined here on this slide just a couple examples to think about if you're wanting to do a journey mapping workshop and trying to identify maybe what experience do you want to apply this tool to. So you can think about, do you have a strategic plan, and do you need to align to that strategic plan? So I know here actually at the institution within IT, we just developed a new strategic plan. And so sometimes we need to take a look at existing initiatives and understand maybe how they may align or maybe don't align to the change or the direction that the strategic plan is trying to set. So that can definitely be a good opportunity. We can look at processes where user retention is low or even user adoption. And so journey mapping can be helpful to understand maybe why that adoption or retention is low. Are there barriers that users are experiencing in adopting either a solution or using a process? And so it could be a good way in understanding their experience with the process. FAQs are a really great place to start. So if you're getting the same questions over and over, again, to a service desk or a help desk, maybe asking the question like, why are we getting this question all of the time? Are people not finding the information like they should? Do we not have that information publicly posted where they can find it easily? Understanding, again, the user's experiencing and trying to find that answer maybe will help uncover why that question is a frequently asked question. And then maybe shed some insights on how you can get people looking for those answers, in a more intuitive, seamless way. You can also look at website data and how often is somebody visiting a web page. Are they spending a lot of time on this web page? Is your abandonment rate high? Google Analytics is typically a great resource for that kind of data. And so you can kind of maybe look to see, is there something that we can make more user-friendly on the web page or more intuitive? I know people generally, when they're looking at a web page, read from left to right, top to bottom, right? Do we need to move something in that upper left area so it's brought more to their attention, for example? Errors, so if you're looking at a process that's really error prone, journey mapping can be a really helpful way in exposing where those areas or the errors that may be taking place and why those errors are happening. It could help answer questions like, is it a problem with the data? Are you getting the right information? Is the problem originating with the person working the process, right? We have to kind of think holistically. It's people, processes, and technology that may be contributing factors into why a process is error prone. Also, you can take a look at processes that take a long time. If you're asking yourself, like, why does this process take days or weeks to complete instead of minutes or hours, especially for high volume processes, and they're not getting through the process efficiently, journey mapping can be a really great tool to kind of understand why, maybe where the hang up points throughout that process, where are people spending the most amount of time during that process? Can we identify and create some efficiencies to speed up that process? And I think it can also be really helpful in thinking about, like, what are the repercussions because this process is taking so long? So again, another example from higher education, if our admissions process takes too long, we may have students choosing to attend another institution. So that's one of the repercussions of having a long admissions process or a cumbersome, confusing admissions process. We just may have students not attending the institution, which isn't what we want. You can also look at processes that maybe are expensive. I know we don't always measure the cost of staff time, but it is definitely worth something. So if people are having to spend a lot of time working with a process, and I think this feeds into that next point around manual processes as well, is if there's a lot of manual work, right, that's typically somebody's doing that could be an expensive staff time. And so finding better ways to execute that process, maybe through automation or understanding why is it manual, where can we really identify those efficiencies. So that wraps up kind of the why and what of journey mapping and how to select an experience. So now we're going to talk about persona development and where that fits into the journey mapping process. So personas are fictional profiles that are representative of a group of users with similar service needs. And typically there are several different personas because we never have one type of customer. I'll give you an example of that. Currently, I am working with our ID card office at the U of O to understand what it would take to modernize and move to like a mobile card solution. And we're doing some journey mapping exercises right now to understand the student experience with their ID card and getting their ID card and that kind of stuff. And we have several different personas as part of that exercise. So we have your traditional incoming first-year student, we have the student athlete, we have staff, we have community members. So as we're doing the journey mapping process around the card experience, we have several different personas because of that. There's not just one type of user. You typically will identify things like their profile, important background characteristics, motivations, needs, wants, all that kind of stuff. And we'll take a look at kind of like kind of an outline of our persona here in a couple of slides. I wanted to talk through really quickly some example personas and maybe how to pair those with experiences. And I wanted to make sure that these were relatable to you all at the state. And so hopefully they are, but you can think about a couple different personas like lottery players, and maybe you map their experience playing at a machine or buying a lottery ticket. You can look at the personas of unemployed citizens and receiving benefits, or maybe looking for resources. Maybe they're just newly unemployed and they're trying to figure out like what's next. How do they find those resources? What's that experience like for them? Veterans, you could think about them as a persona and experiences obtaining a home loan or trying to find information about healthcare benefits, or even general community members. Most of us get to renew our driver's license every so many years. So what's that experience like? Or if I move and I need to change or update my address, what is that experience like? There are a couple of do's and don'ts focused around creating personas. One of the things you do want to do is kind of notice commonalities. We talked about creating multiple personas, right? There's typically no just one single user group. And then while personas are a fictional representation of a user group, you do want to back it up with real data. And so when you're building your persona, if you can get information via interviews or focus groups, or talk to the people who actually have experience working with these personas and understand their needs, those are key resources when it comes to building out your persona. Things you don't want to do is get too detailed. So for example, if we're mapping the experience of a student, submitting their application to attend the University of Oregon, right? We may include details like they're a first generation college student, they're a high school graduate, right? Details that are really going to be applicable to their experience applying to the University of Oregon. Details like they have a dog probably aren't applicable to that experience, but if we were mapping their experience of moving into residential housing, for example, the fact that they have a pet, maybe a service dog, that is definitely applicable to their experience. So you can kind of see where you want to make sure you include information that's applicable to their experience, and some details just aren't going to be relevant for their experience. And definitely, it kind of goes back to backing it up with real data. Don't make assumptions and don't guess. So here is an example persona. Don't feel free to, have to read all of this, but this is just kind of a visual way of how to outline creating or generating a persona. So you can see we have some profile information, some background characteristics, motivations. So what is Andrew's persona? Who's trying to renew his driver's license? What are his goals, his needs, and his wants? And then you can see we've outlined generally some tasks, some services, some outcomes, and some initial pain points. But really, we're just trying to create that fictional profile of the person's shoes that we're going to step into when we map the journey of renewing his driver's license. Here's another just visual way of creating a persona. This one, I believe, is created from a Miro board, and we're going to use that tool today. So if y'all aren't familiar with Miro, it's a really cool, like, endless whiteboard tool. But it's really cool because he has like these sticky notes, but you can see here, this is Dakota. She's enrolling on online courses. There are details on here, like she's a first generation college student. She's 25. She's working. So including relevant details to her experience as she enrolls in online courses. All right, so we're going to dive into journey mapping and the overview, and I'm going to show some examples here in a moment. But before we do that, I know you all have seen this slide so far, so I'm going to pop in here to chat. And I'm actually going to ask, what are journey maps? Can you all tell me? Quiz time? Anybody put in the chat, what are journey maps? Give you a moment, make sure you're all awake. Nobody remembers what journey maps are? Nice, visual representation of a person's journey. Documenting the user's experiences, good and bad. Perfect. Man, you all are awake. Okay, cool. Yes. So journey mapping is that visual representation describing their experience, and it includes stuff such as stages, activities, and interactions. All right. Now that I made sure you're all awake, here is a example of a journey map. This is a visual sample only. I know it is an eyesore on a PowerPoint slide. Please don't try to read it, but I just wanted to show you kind of what a journey map could look like. So this is the map of a student journey, and this is even before they've started to even think about attending the institution. We're starting really that journey at that college discovery phase, and then moving into choosing a path, deciding where they're going to go. They get accepted to the institution, and then what all do they have to do to get prepared. And so in this particular journey, we're not only capturing the students' touch points, but also the back office actions that are happening, and then the systems that are supporting those touch points and actions. And particularly in this journey, what is kind of visually appealing is that we can see here that there are 6 computer icons. And the reason for highlighting that is because in this student journey, students have to create and remember 6 different usernames and passwords before they even get their UO official username and password. And so this is a really great way of kind of stepping back and really visually seeing like, wow, they have to get 6 different usernames and passwords. That's obviously an area for an improvement. Can we streamline that? Can we make that easier for students as they're onboarding to the institution? Here is another example. So I worked with Winnie from the planning team, and we put together this journey map of Andrew, so that persona that we were talking about just a few slides ago, and his journey of renewing his driver's license. Again, don't feel like you have to read this on the PowerPoint slide. I did include a link to this journey map in a Miro board, so you can open it up and look at it in more detail. But you'll see that it has those phases, those actions, maybe what is Andrew thinking as he's going through this process, tools or services that are supporting that journey, gain points, what's working well, pain points, what's not working so well. And then what's always fun is to include kind of emotions. And that's really, I think, where it helps us build that empathetic insight for those users. What are they feeling during that journey? And this one, we added this kind of emotional progression, roller coaster ride, right, of that journey. Just a few other examples of journey maps. You can see, I think there's some similarities across, you got those stages, you got those steps, feelings, that kind of stuff. And again, you can, as you've probably seen, you can craft journey maps in multiple different ways. So some things to think about when gathering information for your journey maps. I have found it most successful in doing like workshops with groups in doing the journey mapping kind of information gathering. So we pull up a blank journey map, we identify the phases together. Typically by the time that we get there, we've worked together in previous workshops to develop the persona, but going into the actual journey mapping workshop, right, we'll have that ready, and then we can work to identify those phases. And then we go back and identify kind of the rest. So what are the actions and the steps? What are the gain points, tools, services, pain points, all that kind of stuff. And so you can do that way. Like I said, I've found that to be typically the most successful way. But you can also do things like interviews or focus groups. You can do observation method. So you can sit back and kind of watch somebody's experience. And then you can always rely on any existing data that may be available through surveys or reports or anything like that. Some tips when going through the journey mapping process. So slow down and notice the details of each step. This can be really helpful to understand maybe where somebody may go down the wrong path that may have a major impact on them moving forward in their journey, or maybe what barriers they may be experiencing as they're going through their journey. A good example of that is if we're mapping a journey and as part of that, somebody's filling out a paper form. Do they have a pen? Are there pens available? It seems like such a simple thing, but that could be a barrier for that user in moving forward in their journey, right? If they don't have something to actually write with to complete that paper form. Decision points and choices can be made during that. And I think the thing to think about is journey maps aren't a linear process. They can loop back. So in the journey map that we saw of Andrew renewing his driver's license, I'll just cruise back there real quick. We see here in phase 5 that he may loop back to phase 3 if he doesn't show up with the correct documentation. And so journey maps definitely aren't linear. You can loop back in the process. And so kind of thinking about and understanding where that branch may be, where somebody may loop back in the process can be helpful. To help build that empathetic insight, ask the questions of like, what did you do? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? And then, yeah, as I mentioned, journey maps or journeys can be non-linear. All right. So we are going to jump into a journey mapping exercise together. So I'm going to stop that. I'm going to jump into Miro. This is Miro, the tool that I was talking about. It is free. I believe you get limited use if there's like licensing. I think you can pay for more kind of functionalities, but it's a really great tool. One thing that I'll show here is it has several different journey mapping templates, which is awesome. So you can come in here, go to templates and just do a search for like journey maps. And it gives you a number of different ways to kind of portray that journey and get you started. So as I mentioned, we're going to do an exercise together. So I'm not sure, probably just have folks come off mute if that works and just kind of throw stuff at me. But what we're going to do is we're going to go and map the journey of ordering a pizza for delivery. So our persona is Henry the Hungry Human, and he wants to order some pizza. And so I've got us started by identifying the phases that Henry may go through. So, right, he's probably going to do some research of where does he want to order delivery from. He's going to make that decision, and then he's going to place the order, and then he's going to wait, and then he's going to receive his pizza and pay for it and then enjoy it. So I went ahead just to get us started identifying those phases. But what I would like for you all to do with me here is start identifying. So like during the research phase, what actions does Henry take? What is he doing? What tasks are he doing?
Research the ingredients that are in the product. If they have food sensitivities, they might need to see if there's certain things that are in it.
Yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm.
Reading the menu.
Looking up reviews.
Yes.
He needs to find a pizza place that delivers to wherever he is.
Mm-hmm.
Location.
Right.
Looking at cost.
Yeah. Maybe pizza and delivery. I know delivery fees can vary.
The hours that the place is open.
Cool. That's great.
Rewards.
And what hours they deliver as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a
What-
coupon?
Yeah,
Right.
coupons.
Pricing.
Yeah. Pricing, if we got looking at the cost of the pizza and any delivery fees. What may Henry be thinking during this research phase?
What do I want on my pizza?
Does he really want pizza after looking at the menu?
True.
Or anything else besides pizza?
Mhm.
How many people is he feeding?
Hungry.
What's the
How long
wait
is he
time?
willing-
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. How long is he willing to wait?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's the wait time for delivery?
Cool. And what tools and services may Henry be using during this research phase? So we've talked a lot about like researching ingredients and looking up reviews. What is he using to do that?
The
Mobile
internet.
device.
Internet? I heard somebody else.
Mobile device.
Mobile device, yeah.
Paper menu.
Paper menu, yeah. Maybe you have a menu
Delivery.
from a. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In that junk drawer, right? That we all have.
Exactly.
Or paper coupons.
Yeah, from maybe the paper, like the newspaper.
Making a phone call to speak to somebody on the other side.
Yeah. So his phone to make a call. Okay.
Could be using an application of a delivery company.
Yeah. Like Uber Eats or Grubhub. I live way out in the boonies, so we don't get that out here. So I'm like, I don't even know what delivery apps there are anymore. But yeah. It's a delivery application.
Maybe a family member, what they recommend.
Yeah, asking for a recommendation. Definitely. What may be working well about doing this research?
He's finding deals.
Yeah, finding deals. Maybe
Narrow-
oh, go ahead.
Narrowing down options.
Definitely. That
Discovering new places.
yeah, definitely. Maybe the fact that pizza restaurants have online menus, right? So he can view that information online. And then what may be some pain points during this research phase?
How easy it is to find the menu online.
So maybe it's cumbersome to find the menu.
Yeah.
Too many
Paper.
options.
Too many options for sure.
Paper menu is out of date.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That would be so frustrating to have your heart
Spotty
set on
Wi-Fi
something.
or internet.
Yeah. Definitely. That could be a hindrance, a barrier to doing a mobile order.
Being brave to try something new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do I go with the old classics that I know and love, or do I venture out and try something new?
Online could be busy if he's calling.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe what would be an emotion that Henry is feeling?
Frustration.
Frustration. Let's find the emoji.
Maybe even happiness because he's finding it's easier.
True. Let's see here.
Angry.
Hangry? Is that what somebody said? Oh man, I don't know if that's a... Or he could be happy.
Excited to be getting food.
Okay, we'll go with that kind of happy, excited
Okay.
emotion here. Okay, so that was the first phase of researching. And now Henry needs to make a decision. What actions or tasks is he doing in making that decision?
Do I have enough money?
Yeah, so maybe checking his bank account.
Does
Definitely.
the company accept the payment method that he has?
Yeah. Payment methods for sure.
Is it worth the wait?
Yeah. Yeah,
Does-
do I... Go ahead.
Does pizza really sound good? Or something else? After looking at the menu, maybe something else sounds better?
So what may Henry be thinking? Maybe that's the thought of, does pizza really sound good? Do I want to make this commitment to pizza?
What's most important to me?
Right.
Do I want to stay home or would I rather just go get it?
Yeah, maybe it's faster to pick it up instead of having to wait for somebody else to do that. And what tools and services may Henry be using during this decision phase? So maybe his mobile phone again, if we're checking bank statements or bank accounts, make sure we have enough money.
His brain.
Yeah, definitely. Make that decision. Brain power.
Maybe input from, I don't know, if he's eating with a family, input from others.
Yeah, what do the family members want? Is he ordering other things from the menu to meet those needs of those others? Maybe he has picky eaters in the family. Okay. And what are some gain points during this phase?
You make a decision.
Yeah, making a decision. So you're committing.
Yep.
Maybe the freedom of choice. Any other game points? Oh, see the chat here. Oh yeah, you may have to set up an online account. Yeah, definitely. That might be during the ordering phase.
What if it's pricey?
Yeah. Maybe that's a pain point. Maybe the place
Yeah, sorry,
that
I thought we were at pain points.
Oh no, you're good. Pricey, or maybe prices have increased since he's last eaten at the place he wanted to eat, and he's like, oh dang, it's a little bit more than I was wanting to pay for pizza. What are some other pain points?
He's committing to pizza and may decide, wow, I really didn't want pizza. Changing his mind. Yes, changing.
Right. Any other pain points during this kind of decision phase? Okay. What would be an emotion that Henry is feeling kind of during this phase? Is he still happy? Or has that changed?
He ended up with a great deal. He's happy. He ended up with a bad deal and he's fuming.
Yeah. So we'll add 2 here. Grab a little text box. So say he's happy. Got a great deal. But if he got, let's see here, mad. But he could be mad.
It's like, man, this is the last time I'm ordering from this place.
Yeah. All right. So the ordering phase, I saw that somebody put in the chat around maybe having to set up an account, which is definitely a possibility. So we can add that as a action or a task. So maybe setting up an account with the pizza place that he's ordering from. What else may Henry be doing during this phase?
Choosing pizza toppings, pizza size, pizza delivery options.
Yeah. Maybe he's looking at wait times again.
Deciding if he's going to tip.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's typically built into that whole ordering process.
Yeah, especially if it's online.
Mm-hmm. All right. And what may Henry be thinking during this ordering phase?
Do I have to call or can I place the order online?
Mm-hmm.
What were they thinking when they built this website?
Yeah. Definitely. There are some sites out there that's like, oh goodness. It's not.
Do I want contactless delivery?
Mm-hmm.
Or actually answer the door?
Yeah. Maybe he has a dog that barks when the door is knocked on or when the doorbell is rang. So he maybe says, just leave it on the front step and I'll grab it to avoid that.
Did I remember to order everything I intended to?
Yeah. Definitely.
Was he aware of any specials or group deals?
Yeah.
Few questions I didn't know I could pick, like extra cheese and square or round and
Yeah, it can be sometimes be too many options. I just want pepperoni pizza. I don't care what's the word I'm looking for? Square, round. What are some tools that Henry may be using? So maybe we talked about an application. So it's a mobile phone or mobile device.
Well, if he's calling to place the order, then it would be phone, and maybe he's using the menu, the paper menu the outdated paper menu.
Right, right. Yeah. And if he's ordering, it has to be probably paying as part of that transaction. So payment method, whether making sure I have enough cash on hand or my credit or debit card available. Are there other tools or services that Henry may be using? Oh, whoever came off mute. I don't know if that was an accident unmute or if that wasn't intended.
Something I was just thinking about is he could be using TTY, if he's hard of hearing or deaf, having to try to communicate that way. Yeah, like ADA type thing.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and then the question of, is the mobile application accessibility friendly, right? Does it accommodate or use those tools that he may be using to engage? That's definitely when you think about, personas and experiences that you may be mapping. Folks with those disabilities definitely are a persona to consider, and their experiences and how they may be going through that process as well.
So a question just popped in my head as we are talking about, mapping this journey here. And I don't know if this is the right place to ask the question, but if you have users like, the normal user doesn't deal with accessibility, questions. But then you have also those users that may have those types of needs. Do we need to then create 2 different journeys to identify the needs of each user and then have all these as part of the information that we need to make the process or whatever we are working on, encompass all of those different needs from the different types of users?
Yeah, that's a great question, and make sure I'm understanding correctly. So if we have, multiple different personas, one persona representing folks with some accessibility needs, and would you do a separate journey map for them for that same experience that you would have done for a different persona group? And my experience would say yes, that you would do it another journey map. And an example is as I mentioned, I'm doing, this exercise for understanding the student experience with the card office and their ID card. And we've created multiple different personas, and we're going to kind of do multiple different journeys all around the experience of obtaining their ID card. Then to kind of step back and look at where are those journeys similar and where are those journeys different, and maybe where can we start creating a more seamless journey for all of those persona groups, or maybe where do we really need to keep the journey different to accommodate that user group or that persona to make it a more equitable process for them. Hopefully that helps answer your question, but in my experience, I would kind of do separate journey maps for each of those persona groups, even though it's the same experience.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Of course. All right, what are some gain points during the ordering phase here? Maybe you can order from the comfort of his home.
Yeah.
Closer to getting food.
What was that? One more time?
Closer to getting the food delivered.
Yeah.
Good experience so far, so he's feeling positive about it.
Yeah.
Ease of ordering from past order history.
Yeah, maybe they remember. See in the chat there. Customer reward programs, definitely. Maybe I'm one step closer to getting a free pizza. All right. And what may be some pain points during this ordering phase? So I know we did talk about like a website, maybe it's not user-friendly. Website or maybe app. And at this point you're hangry, so you're frustrated and having to navigate this unwieldy application to try to order food.
I guess that one would kind of encompass ADA kind of thing, where it's not website ADA friendly or something, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Past history being wiped out.
Yeah.
Issues setting up the account.
Definitely. Maybe you already had an account, but you forgot your password, then you have to go through the password reset process.
The item they want is no longer available.
Mm-hmm. Right, so then you're kind of, that could definitely be back, we're then looping back into this research phase. If we get to the point to order and it's not available, it's just like I have to go back to the menu, redecide, definitely.
The wait is longer now?
Yeah, because you took the time to do the research, all that kind of stuff. What's an emotion that Henry may be feeling during the ordering phase? Maybe anticipation?
Happy that food is on its way.
Yeah. Let's see here. Find a emoji. We'll say celebratory. Happy, excited, food's on the way. Placement order, one step closer. All right. So Henry has placed his order. And now he's waiting. What is he doing while he's waiting?
Checking the time.
For sure. Maybe the mobile app has like where you can see the location of your pizza, right? You can kind of track your pizza.
Like DoorDash, yeah. Tracking your driver or your person.
Reevaluating, did he miss to order anything? He missed the
Yeah.
soda or the breadsticks?
Yeah.
Oh man, I missed that. Need to place an order.
Yeah, so maybe double checking his order.
Making any preparations, getting plates, glasses, drinks, stuff that he's providing at the house.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe looking for an order confirmation.
Yeah, did they receive it? Did they get it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Verifying they have the right delivery location.
Yeah. It's always hard when you move and you got like your previous address pre-populated into something, and then you go to order and it automatically goes to the place you last moved. I've done that before. Had to call and be like, oops.
Yeah.
You got one of my packages.
Checking to make sure the driver or the delivery person can get into the house, property, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe opening a gate or if they have somebody manning a gate, letting them know. And what may Henry be thinking during this wait process, this wait phase?
Just taking forever.
Yes.
Hungry.
It's like the microwave minute, right? It's just a minute, but it seems to take forever.
Should I eat something while I'm waiting?
Yeah, should I have a snack? And I hope there's no traffic.
When should I work out?
Yeah, having some pizza. Maybe I ordered, the cookie dough stuff that comes with it. Thinking about when I should work out. Burn off some of these calories.
I hope they deliver to the right house.
Yeah.
Or they don't lose my delivery or something.
Or they got it right. Yeah. What are some tools or services that Henry may be using as he's waiting?
Clock.
For sure, to check the time.
The tracking app. Make sure you're checking on the driver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so mobile phone or device for sure. Maybe he's watching something on Netflix or Hulu to pass the time. A streaming app.
Maybe they have a text alert option.
Yeah. The driver is almost there. Mm-hmm.
Checking Fitbit to see how much he can eat.
Yeah. How many steps did I get in today? And what are some gain points as he's waiting?
Good experience. Getting ready to recommend that. Oh yeah, these guys are great.
Not having to cook it himself.
Right.
He gets to eat soon.
Extra time to do something else.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, not spending time in the kitchen. Maybe he gets time to crack open a good book that he's been hoping to read while he waits. And what are some pain points?
Watching the clock.
Yeah.
Watching too much.
Yeah. Having to have patience.
Yeah, the order may get delayed, the order delivery.
Yeah. And what is Henry feeling as he's waiting?
Impatience.
Yeah. Let's see here if we can find a. They need more emojis. We all see a good one here. Go ahead and.
How about the under people, the second one from the left on the top, like grimacing.
Oh, like this one?
Like he's gnawing his teeth waiting for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, that's great. All right. And the last step. So receive and pay. The wait is over. What actions or tasks may Henry be doing during this stage? He may have paid back in the ordering phase too, so he may not have to do payment.
Yeah, probably having to pull the wallet to give the driver a tip, an extra tip.
Yeah.
Put the dog in the backyard.
I was gonna say.
For sure.
Keep the kids away from the door. They're screaming, I'm hungry, where's the pizza? I want to open the door.
Yeah.
Stay away from the dog.
Little rascals. All right. What may Henry be thinking?
Just a little longer, just a little longer.
I hope they
Almost
got
there.
the order right.
Yeah, you don't really know till you get it inside and open up that box, see what's in there.
After it took that long, how much do I want to tip?
Yeah. What was your overall experience like? For sure. And what I want to make sure I'm able to get back to the rest of my slides here, so I'm going to kind of move us along pretty quickly through the rest of these. But what tools and services may Henry be using during this phase?
Card.
Still using his phone.
Mm-hmm.
Card reader
Laptop.
thing that they might have.
Yeah.
A pen to sign the receipt.
Yep.
Food app.
Yeah. I'm gonna say dog treats because I know if I have to get my dog to the backyard, I'm pulling out dog treats to get him to move. And what are some gain points?
Pizza.
Pizza.
Get to eat.
The wait's over. Maybe the delivery was a seamless process. You didn't have to drive anywhere. Any other gain points?
Fewer dishes to do. Well, unless you use a bunch.
Yeah, but you're not cooking, so hopefully you don't got the pots and the pans and all of what that comes with that. So, and any pain points?
Order's wrong.
Order's wrong. Yeah. Maybe the pizza's cold because it took too long. Maybe pizza isn't as good as you hoped.
Reevaluating the budget.
Yeah, maybe it was a spendy, not worth it, not worth that investment. And what's an emotion that Henry's feeling?
Probably happy unless something went not too well
Yeah.
with the order. And satisfied.
Right. Cool. All right. So that's our journey map. Thank you all so much for participating and engaging on that. I know this is a pretty generic experience to go through, but I hope you could kind of see the process of going through that, soliciting those questions, filling it in, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to jump back into my presentation. I want to make sure I leave time for you all to ask any additional questions. All right. So once you've gone through the journey mapping process, the next step is really to analyze that map for improvement opportunities. And so looking at the journey through the lenses of your personas, and really starting to understand maybe where you can identify improvements, where there are opportunities to combine steps to maybe create a more streamlined experience, understanding what actions or tasks or pain points of the journey are the most painful for that user. I can tell you with the journey map that I'm doing for the card stuff, the biggest pain point that we've uncovered so far is to uploading your photo to get it onto your ID card, it is such a cumbersome process and it throws errors like 50% of the time. So that is definitely like the biggest area of improvement that we've identified so far for the card users, but kind of understanding what are those most severe pain points. And then maybe thinking about too, like what steps require the user to exert the most effort, or what steps in the process take the longest amount of time. And then as we talked about those moments of truth, or those make it or break it moments, understanding where those are in the process as well. And then also looking for maybe unintended barriers that prevent a user from reaching the next stage in their process. So this could be like structural, process, cost, or implementation barriers that prevent somebody from moving forward to the next stage. How can you maybe remove those or lower those barriers to help create a more seamless, intuitive, user-friendly process or journey? And then finally, here, is implementing those improvements. So you've gone through this whole experience, you've identified the improvements, and now it's time where the rubber meets the road, is implementing those improvements. So a couple of things to think about is this approach is typically the most successful when you have decision makers bought into the process. And so having a strong commitment to the changes that you want to make or are recommending. And I think by having the journey map, you can then visually show them the areas of frustration, the areas of pain, and how you can improve those. And then always, when implementing something, make sure that you have somebody who's kind of in charge and seeing that implementation through, whether it be a project or just like a small group of folks who get together. But typically you want to make sure that somebody's responsible for the implementation of that improvement. I always like to say when it's everybody's responsibility, it's nobody's responsibility. So having somebody identified to carry that implementation forward, or that improvement forward, is always great. And then think about improvements that are actionable, tangible, and clear. So these are things that you want to make sure, right, that we can actually do, that are achievable, that are realistic, but aren't so like far out there into the future or not part of reality, right? So you want to make sure that these are things that we can realistically do to help improve somebody's experience. So wrapping up, I just want to encourage you all to give journey mapping a try. I hope you walked away with something new in your toolbox today. I hope that you can take this and apply it in your work going forward. Please feel free to share this with your colleagues. I hope that you've gained something new today. So we can go ahead and wrap up with Q&A, but I do want to just show you all, I did include some resources here at the end of my slide deck. So if you want to learn more about journey mapping, there are a couple of articles that I linked, and then I also linked the Miro application as well that we use today to build our journey map and create those templates. So with that, I will stop sharing. It looks like we have 15 minutes. Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Kelly. Appreciate you attending.
So I'm going to give one last call for questions. Does anyone have questions for Kelsey?
Yeah. I will also put my email here in the chat. So if, I know sometimes we walk away and think of a question. So if you all happen to do that and think of a question, please feel free to shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer it that way. Or we can connect via LinkedIn as well as another way to get a hold of me. But
all right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Kelsey. I know I learned something, and
awesome.
I really enjoyed the work session and kind of taking the time to walk us through what it looks like to do this in real life. So I appreciated and enjoyed that.
Of course. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate your time and your engagement. All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Have a good afternoon, everybody.
And I'd like to thank everyone for your attendance today and participation. Good job, everyone. And please join us in August for our August 17th Bang Forum. Get out there, check out our website and the PMUG website for our past materials and schedule for upcoming sessions. Thank you all.